What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sports with Skiz. It is my first introduction of the year, so super excited for that. Thank you to my partner and brother Mike for letting me kick it off. Uh, College football slate last weekend was excellent. There were some dope games. We're excited to break them down for you and recap them. We've also got some games, we'll be discussing a little bit tomorrow as well. So we apologize for the technical difficulties that we have had here. Mike. Couple of games, man, couple of big ones. I mean, is there anyone off the top? I'm thinking Oklahoma, Alabama would be good to kick off with here. What a weird ball game that was.
Yeah, that was super super weird. I feel like and for those of you guys who are listening to me, I apologize. I'm doing this from Panera Bread, so I'm trying to keep it down a little bit more, not as boisterous as I usually am. But this one was super super weird because if you just look at it from like a number standpoint, Alabama dominated this game. But however, they had the three turnovers that were very very costly, and something that we kind of talked about last week was keeping the ball out of Oklahoma's defense. We talked about Ty Simpson and how good he's been at keeping the ball away from the defense, and he ended up throwing an interception. Didn't have quite his best game, but the run game for Alabama just really never got going. And mixed in with the turnovers, I feel like that really, really hurt them. Because if you look at Oklahoma from an offensive standpoint, nothing sticks out at all. Like they had the defense who had two touchdowns, I believe. Was it two touchdowns? Or one.
One.
Bowen had one touchdown. Yeah, they had the one touchdown. Offense had one touchdown. So it was just a weird game.
Super weird game. And we were talking about Alabama basically doubling Oklahoma in terms of total yardage. Oklahoma, John Mateer, 138 yards passing, no touchdowns, no INTs. But
Mm-hmm.
collectively as a group, I mean, they might have just eclipsed, not even, they didn't even get to 80 yards rushing, 74 yards rushing collectively as a team. Like you said, those turnovers meant everything to Oklahoma. There was that 86-yard pick six to the house, I think, in the second quarter, kind of put
Mm-hmm.
Alabama a little bit behind there. And I mean, yeah, just that fumble loss killed them. Hill had two fumbles in the game for Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a good matchup. Like you said, just a little bit weird, especially when it comes down to the stat sheet. But Oklahoma finds a way to get it done in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Man, big upset win, big upset win.
Yeah, it was huge. And if I'm not mistaken, right now with how the bracket is set up, is it Oklahoma that would be hosting Alabama right now?
You know what?
No,
That's
no, it's not. I don't think it is. Looking at it, I think it would be this from the 18th. So it would be Bama going to Eugene, Oregon, and then it would be Oklahoma hosting Notre Dame. But I thought for a second there we'd get a potential rematch with how things are looking to shape up.
yeah. I saw something earlier about like an updated bracket.
One thing that I did want to ask too, that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about, Jaden Ott, the transfer from Cal this offseason. Oklahoma paid him a ton of money. What is up with him? I know he was hurt coming into the season. I haven't seen anything that's speaking of him being still injured or holding it back. I just don't understand the move. And we're talking about in the culture of college football, not a lot of loyalty guys jumping ship for the money. This is a clear aspect to me, at least, if he's not battling an injury, like the grass isn't always greener because Ott was a beast at Cal last year.
Yeah, it's funny. Even Skip Bayless had said something about it. He's just like, what happened to the kid? Like you said, Oklahoma paid him a bunch of money. I think he played. I think he dropped the
At the
pass that was,
beginning,
yeah, he dropped the pass that was thrown to him, and then that was like kind of it. So, like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm really not sure what the situation is there. To be honest with you, I completely forgot Oklahoma had this kid.
mhm. Yeah, because he was a late summer, early spring, or early November, or not November, excuse me, but early like August transfer. Or it didn't look like it, but I mean, so far in the season, he has 21 carries for 68 yards and no touchdowns. So
Right.
super, super weird. I don't really understand it too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to take a look here. I'm not really seeing anything as to why. Um,
I'm telling you, there's like nothing out there. Like I don't think he's battling injuries anymore. I could understand if he like fell behind during camp and now you can't see the field. But like I don't know, man. We're talking about a kid that put up numbers last year at Cal. And again, it's just the grass isn't always greener. He's very, very underutilized if that's the case. And you got to think, what might be happening. He's a senior, so I don't know off the top of my head if he's a redshirt senior or not. So I don't know if he has extra eligibility. Obviously, he might be able to take a redshirt. It looks like he could take a redshirt this year if he hasn't played in 4 games. But yeah, I don't know. And I misspoke a little bit. He didn't put up huge numbers last year. He was out for a lot of it. But whenever he was in, he showed a lot of production. And in the year prior, 2023, that's when he had his big year, 1,300 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns.
Yeah, some reports I'm seeing on him is a big reason why he's not playing as much because he can't block.
Mm,
I mean,
mm.
that's some fandom. That's fandom, but I'm seeing several Oklahoma fans, speaking on that issue. So, um, yeah, that's
Interesting.
obviously for a running back, that's always that's part of the game. You need to block and things of that nature. But yeah, just a complete 180 or 360 for this kid, to be honest with you. So, um, but moving along as we digress with that, Mike, did you hear Tulane's head coach John Summerall and what he happened to say about his team?
Basically, what he said that if they're ranked right now, there's not a lot of good football being played. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. Yes. Word for word, which is I don't know. I mean, honesty is awesome. I love a guy that just can keep it real and but I mean, geez, it's kind of like it almost seems like a slap in the face to your team, right? I mean, because Tulane, they're not a 9-1 team, but I mean, I'll tell you what, they're not bad. You know what I mean? And here we are in the stink of the college football playoff amongst us. Tulane has a shot to make it.
Yeah, they have the at-large bid right now for the group of five. It could be like one of those things where you're trying to rally up your team to not get complacent, seeing that you are in the college football playoff, something along those lines there. But I mean, yeah, they really haven't. They don't have too many bad losses. I mean, they got blown out by Ole Miss, and they did have a bad loss at UTSA where they lost by 22 points. So that's really the only blemish. If it wouldn't be Tulane, I would love a chance to see JMU, not to stir away from Tulane, but I would love a chance to see JMU get in there. JMU has the one loss to Louisville, which, some coaching decisions not really sure about. They don't have a same common opponent, but if you were looking at teams that are kind of common, JMU has played Texas State and beat them, I want to say, by like 30 points. And Texas State beat UTSA, who beat Tulane. So if you're following me along there, that's kind of what I was getting at. But
Yeah,
Tulane or
like a
JMU have my
carousel going
votes.
there. Yeah.
Yes, yes, like a greater than, greater than, greater than.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. So regardless, I'd like to see one of those teams make it. I was a South Florida guy for the most of the season, and then they just absolutely shit the bed versus Navy. So, and
yeah.
I mean, shit, even Navy, still might have an opportunity to get in there. So it's tough. I love it right now. It's speaking of things that I love, there's nothing I love more than a 27-point comeback. Shout out Texas A&M. Shout out Marcel Reed. Mike, all season long, I have just denied the fact that this guy is like that. I'm in my head, I'm like, oh man, it's he's getting lucky, he's getting lucky, he's getting lucky. Listen, bro, you can only prove me wrong so many times before I finally succumb. And I'm like, you know what? You're like that. And Marcel Reed, bro, what? I mean, it's easy to fold in that type of scenario. You know what I mean? And they didn't fold. I mean, they didn't even give up a second half point. They didn't give
Yeah,
up any points in the second half, man. I mean, shout out Texas A&M, bro. Did not expect them to be as good as they are this year. And I mean,
Mike
they're
Elk,
undefeated.
Mike Elk, Mike Elko signs an extension too. There was word before that game, and they start going down. You're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And then shout out to the social media intern or whoever runs Texas A&M's football page. I don't know if you've seen the graphic at halftime, but it was the score of 30-3, and all they put as the caption was, "There will be a second half."
Yeah, yeah,
Boy,
I
oh boy,
saw
was
that.
there. Boy, oh boy, was there a second half, which was awesome to see. But yeah, Marcellus Reed, he's a beast. Just basically was a one-man show in that second half. They couldn't really run the ball with being down so much. So throwing for 330 or 439 yards, they looked so great. Concepcion, 158 yards. He continues to just be an absolute monster in the pass game as well. And then you throw on Bath Roman, who had a big game as well too. Texas A&M kind of looks like a well-oiled machine. Their defense, was a little shaky in the first half. They were put in some bad spots with the interceptions and turnovers that were had. But yeah, shout out to Texas A&M. Definitely not a shout out to that weirdo cop who just gave the shoulder shoves to South Carolina Knight, Nick Harbor, and the
Yeah.
other gentleman who got that too. That dude was a weirdo.
Yeah, yeah, man. And you could see it. Like he like ran it, he like shoulder bumped the players intentionally. You know what I mean, dude? You could see somebody stick their shoulder out playing his day. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was relieved from his duty for that day, but I don't know if he faced any kind of repercussions. Again, these are kids. You know what I mean, dude? Like, come on, you're not a
Yeah.
tough guy. You're not a
Yeah.
tough guy.
He's a state trooper, so Texas, whatever he would be, make sure his body cam is on 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely,
Make sure it's on.
absolutely. You know what? We're gonna keep. Speaking of Marcel Reed and good quarterback play, I want to turn over to a game that we didn't speak about much last week. Kind of went under the radar for us, Mike. Arizona, Cincinnati. You want to talk
Mhm.
about quarterbacks? Well, we've been talking about Brendan Sorsby all year. I think it's time we show Noah Fafita some love, at least before the season ends. Arizona walks into Cincinnati. They have to travel across country going into like a slightly colder climate, I guess, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not like it was below 25 degrees the other day, but colder than what Arizona is used to. And Noah Fafita goes in, throws 294 yards, man. No turnovers. That Arizona defense had Sorsby in absolute hell. Brendan Sorsby threw two interceptions, if I'm not mistaken, only at like 150 yards passing. So Arizona went in there and they really did their thing. They started out the season undefeated. Think they were like 4-0, and then they took about two or three losses in a row, and then we kind of forgot about Arizona.
Yeah.
Noah Fafita was highly touted coming into the season. He is a senior. I do believe a guy like him will be getting drafted into the NFL this year.
Right.
He's a good kid. He's a smart kid. He's got a lot of moxie. He's got a great attitude about him. So for a quarterback that we haven't spoken on too much, Noah, I hope you hear this, and we're giving you your flowers, buddy.
Yeah, shout out to Noah. He actually set the Arizona passing touchdown record for career. So shout out to him with that one. They broke. I don't know exactly who it was. I don't have that off the top of my head, so I do apologize. But he seems like he's been there for forever. A guy that stayed true to that university. And you're right. I feel like they are having. I talked about it in my winners and losers. They're having a very sneaky season right now, sitting at 7-3. The only thing that holds it back is those three losses are all in conference play, so they're not really going to have a chance to get to the game and make a playoff push.
Right. Right, absolutely, yeah, man. So shout out Arizona, like we said. Let's move over to this Iowa USC game, Mike. Iowa doesn't win, but in terms of fandom and sports betting, they did win because they covered the spread. Um,
Mhm.
I didn't get to catch this game. I'll be very honest with you, but I can tell you one thing: Makai Lemon is a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I watched him make a ridiculous grab via highlight, but I mean, like, this guy is fearless. He's just absolutely fearless. He's got great hands, good route running ability, great speed. Uh, Another well over 100-yard game, 10 catches, a buck 53. He is really, I mean, he runs that offense. He runs that offense. Iowa, they were, I'm pretty sure they were up early. Yeah, they were up early. They were up
Mhm.
at half,
They
but
were points in the second half for
yeah,
Iowa, which
yeah, bro. It's
if they just can't find consistent quarterback play. I mean, Gronowski didn't play too bad, but 12 to 19, 132 yards, one touchdown. It's not really going to cut it. I don't know. It looks like they really couldn't get the run game going in the second half to be able to control the clock, try to win it. And I feel like they got a little bit too conservative, as one does, being an Iowa offense as well too. But yeah, Makai Lemon, he's a beast, 153 yards. Can't really stop him. 10 receptions as well too. And my offense just continues to impress.
Yeah, man. Jaden Mayava is looking good too, man. I think he'll be solid. I think he's one of those guys. If he can keep the trajectory going, I think he'll be gone by junior year. Um, but I mean, and that's hard, like I said, like we've said with guys like Aaron Nussmeier, things of that nature, it's easy to have a good season, but I mean, even in college football, that consistency is major, so,
Yeah.
um, I'm rooting for the kid though. I do like him a lot. Guys, I want to take a brief break here, Mike, and we're going to take a brief break to promote our friend Harris Improvements. A buddy of mine here locally in the Johnstown area started his own business. It is a full home improvement service. They do free quotes, home remodeling, lawn care, junk removal, painting, flooring, tiling, drywall, framing, snow removal, pressure washing. You call Harris Improvements, locally owned and operated in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. They do travel. The phone number is 814-525-1018. I will be throwing that up. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to my boy Heavy Check Cell. He is also a local artist in town too. Congratulations, bro. Starting up your own business is extremely difficult.
Sounds like a one-stop shop for everything you need.
One stop shop. Yeah. I wanted to go to this Georgia Texas game. Really, the only game I think that I called correctly in my in my picks, Mike. It's just like, yeah, we kind of knew what it was. Texas, while they a lot of hype coming into the season, didn't pan out early. They're winning games though. Once they played a true team like Georgia, we just kind of knew that the fall off for Arch Manning in Texas was going to happen, and it went downhill, and it was never close. It was never close. 35-10 is the final score. How do you feel about that one, Mike?
Talking about it, Texas can't get a run game going to save LA from they had 17 total carries for 23 yards. Arch Manning was just super great. They made a lot of benefits. Georgia, their defense got after them early and often. They finished with 3 sacks, but they also had 7 tackles for losses. And I mean, you saw it at the end of the game, or I forget when it was. They showed Arch, and he was sitting over there crying on the sidelines. It just was that's the type of night that it was for Texas and their fans.
You know what's crazy, bro? Crying on the sidelines is something I didn't see. I'll have to go check that out. But you know what, man? He's a kid. He's a kid. I'm sure that was probably the most pressured situation he's ever been in, playing Georgia on the road in Georgia. Um, can't be easy. Shout out Gunnar Stockton, 4 touchdowns. This guy's been amazing all season long. Georgia just has it, and you can't count a team like that out. I want
Yeah.
to jump from one team to red to another team in red, Utah. This game, Mike, Utah Baylor, when I tell you I wanted to break things, I wanted to hurt people, uh, it makes no sense. Utah puts up 55 points on just 80 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
80 yards. Now, I'm not counting the 23-yarder on the one completion by the freshman, but let me tell you something. All right, Baylor, these kids all need to go somewhere, man. They go find a new sport to play. Go if you don't want to tackle, if you don't want to hit, don't play a sport that involves physicality, okay? 3 rushing touchdowns of over 60 yards given up, and two of those were to a freshman quarterback, okay? Mike, this kid, by the way, his name is Bird. Bird. They got beat by a fucking bird, okay? Listen, 166 yards on 6 carries. This guy was tossing defenders around, running over and through them, and he only had a couple of touches. I can't understand it. You can only do so much. Sawyer Robertson, 430 yards of offense. This Baylor defense is so bad. You and I could go out there and play for them. I kid you not, bro. It's not an exaggeration. Watching them, like I really wanted to like kick my dogs. And I love my dogs. I love my dogs. I would never want to hurt my animals. I wanted to hurt my animals for Baylor fans. Like Baylor fans, like I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you guys have had to deal with what you've had to deal with this year. I digress.
That's crazy. Shout out Bird Ficklin. That's a crazy name. 6 carries, 166 yards. He averaged 28 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, those long ones. Wayshawn Parker's been a beast, 15 carries, 129 yards as well. They look like a service academy. 43 carries, 380 yards, 5 touchdowns, like just absolute madness. And yeah, Baylor's defense just continues to be terrible. It's disgusting. You got to feel for those fans down there in Waco.
Yeah, you got to feel for him real bad, dude. Multiple programs, and I look, it's natural, it's going to happen. Teams like Baylor, they used to be a good program. Now we're sitting
Hmm.
here and you're still trying to figure it out. Kind of like Kansas State, kind of like Oklahoma State. That Big 12 is going through a little bit of a carousel themselves, amongst other programs. So speaking of programs that are struggling, Florida goes into Ole Miss and tried. They tried, bless their heart. They
Yeah,
really did, man. But they lost. As usual, as we had expected. No, again, just another team. This is 3, 4 teams we're talking about already. Just zero second half points. I don't understand it. Can't grasp the comprehension as to why teams aren't even getting across field to kick a field goal. Um, Nothing good to say about DJ Lagway. Everything good to say.
another interception.
Yeah, bro. Everything good to say about Trinidad Chambliss. So he did suffer 5 sacks, but Kyron Lacey over 200 yards on the ground, dude. Ole Miss, they're one of those teams that I don't know, man. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough matchup for somebody. Um, their one loss was to Georgia, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes,
And that's a tough loss. You know what I mean? Especially
at
with
Georgia.
Trinidad. Yeah, so I don't know, man. If I'm taking a look here at Ole Miss's schedule,
The thing about that I love about Ole Miss and their offense, especially this speaks, I guess, to Trinidad Chambliss. He had 26 completions to 9 different players,
right?
which I feel like you just don't see. And a lot of them, like, it's not just one. There was a couple of just one receptions, but then you look two, two, three, three, four, four, six. Like everybody's kind of eating there. So they have a very well versed offense that can put up a shootout with anybody. They score points at will. And DJ Lagway now has 12 touchdown passes and 13 interceptions coming into what some people called a Heisman type season that he was going to have.
Yeah, I was on that train, definitely. And I'm taking a look at Ole Miss's schedule here, man. They, you know what? They got a difficult schedule, low key. We're talking Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, and I know they both suck. But coming into the year, their SEC programs, Tulane, smash Tulane, LSU. They lost by 8 to Georgia, one possession ball game in a high scoring affair. Can't be too mad at that. South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, Oklahoma, Florida. Again, coming into the season, that's a super tough schedule. I would love to see Ole Miss be like an underdog, if they can make the college football playoff. I think they're going to surprise somebody. I think that they're a good enough team to go and beat like an Alabama, to be honest with you. But then again, they'd have to probably win out. I don't think they'll make the SEC championship game if I'm not sure, but they're only 8-1 in conference.
Chance. They need the only thing is that they would need Georgia, I believe, to lose their last. Oh no, actually no. Georgia does not have a it's you gotta love this. Just this week, Georgia playing Charlotte. I just don't understand it with
Yeah,
why they do that. But they played Charlotte and then Georgia Tech, so they would basically need Texas A&M, I think, to lose either a game or two to sneak in there.
Texas
Because
A&M.
Texas A&M's undefeated right now, and they have so they only have one game left. So I don't know how that would work with tiebreakers. They also play Samford. I hate the SEC when they do this.
Uh,
But they play Samford this weekend, and then they're at Texas, which I mean it's a rivalry game, so it could be close. But Texas is absolute dog shit.
right, right, right. I hear that.
And for the people, just because we passed this real quick, the people that went Texas, three-loss Texas team in the playoff, please stop watching college football. They have no right to be in the playoff right now with how they play. Mm-hmm.
No,
I'll give them. They beat OU, rivalry game, neutral site. That's their best win. They almost gave up a huge lead to Vandy. I don't get them out of my face. I'm done with Texas for this year.
the only game I will be rooting them for is to upset Texas Tech. I am rooting for Ole Miss to make the college football playoff. I'm sure they still could, but you know how it works here with the conference championship games and things of that nature. So we've only got a little bit of time left here, but we're gonna go over to the Virginia Duke game real quick, briefly, Mike. I got to be honest with you.
Game's over quick.
I was wrong about this one. I really was, and kind of just shows how serious Virginia really is.
Yeah, it was there was this game was not close. Those last two touchdowns in the fourth quarter made it something that it really wasn't for the most part. Duke had 3 points the whole game, and
Yeah.
we should have known this. Like Duke really isn't a good football team. If you look at their schedule, they're just like their losses. Some of the losses that they have. I mean, they lost to Tulane and Duke or the UConn, excuse me, which like they're good teams, but Duke, you should be able to beat them. Shout out Champ Morris, came back, did have 2 interceptions, but played pretty decent. And then Taylor, the running back, 133 yards. Shout out to the UVA defense too, played really well.
Yeah, man, UVA, man, they're looking good. Another team I'd like to see, potentially maybe make the college football playoffs, shake things up. As far as their schedule goes, they've got a bye this week, and then they've got Virginia Tech. So at home, that's a good thing. I want to take a look at the ACC standings briefly.
It's tight.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's Virginia and Georgia Tech right now. Both are 4-1 in conference play. However, Pitt's 3-1 in conference play. Uh,
Something. Yeah. Georgia Tech and Virginia are 6-1, Pitt's 5-1, and SMU's 5-1.
yeah, Pitt's got a couple of games that are they go into Georgia Tech this weekend, and then they've got Miami to finish off their season at home. Uh, Mike, you want to talk to me a little bit about the Pitt Notre Dame game before we log off?
Yeah, that was ugly. I called it too. I was watching the game with my brother-in-law, and Pittsburgh Pitt got the ball to start the game. I don't know if you remember, they're driving down the field. Mason Heinzel throws a beautiful, beautiful ball, only where Poppy Williams could catch it, except for Poppy Williams, I guess, closed his eyes. It hit him right in his helmet, and then on a long third down conversion, completes a stripe over the middle, and Blue Hicks cannot complete the pass. So as soon as that happened and the drive stalled and then they went forward on fourth down, got sacked, I told him the game was over. If they score on that, I think it was going to be a lot closer, but I think it just killed the whole momentum. Shout out to Notre Dame. Their defense is legit. They played really, really well. Um, they're going to make the college football playoff. There's no way that they don't win their last two or one game. I can't remember how many they have left, but Pitt still alive. They, like you said, go to Georgia Tech, then they host Miami, but that offense is going to have to bounce back in a big way.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, as great as he's been so far this season, for any freshman quarterback, home or away, to play a team, we're talking about a top-ranked team in the nation, Notre Dame, the continuity that they have. I mean, that's going to be difficult for anybody. So, you can't, it's not a game where you're ever going to be mad at the kid. He's over exceeded expectations. He's taken Pitt thus far this season to a place that, quite frankly, through the first 3 weeks of the year, I didn't think they could be. So yeah, man, a couple of big weeks left. The season isn't over, man, and I'm rooting for you guys to win out, and hopefully, maybe you guys versus Virginia in the ACC championship game. That'll be very nice.
Nathan, before we go, shout out Virginia Tech. They just hired James Franklin.
Yes.
Like yesterday, I believe, became official to a big contract, and that helps out Penn State because I think they only have to pay him now 9 million or something like that out of the
Yes.
buyout just because
Yes.
of the contract. So, I'm not really a James Franklin guy. I'm not really a Virginia Tech guy with them being in the ACC, but I think that's a good fit for them. Arkansas fans, grab a tissue because you guys are down bad. They really wanted James Franklin to go there.
Yeah, and it was between Arkansas and Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech had given him an offer a couple of weeks ago, to be honest with you. But I think James Franklin was waiting out Arkansas, and just to kind of see if Arkansas was willing to put a better deal on the table. It's not necessarily the money for him that he was looking for, it's the money to go towards the program. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Virginia Tech invested about $30 million into their football team. So, uh, we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it there, guys. So shout out James Franklin. We'll see what he's gonna have going on. Mike, I agree with you. That's a good fit for him. Guys, don't forget to like us on all platforms. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reels. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. We do 2 podcasts a week. We'll be transitioning here to basketball in a little bit, but we wanted to end the football season strong. Basketball still kicking off. A lot of unders hitting. So, hey, just wanted to wish you guys a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.